Hey everybody, my name is Cody Daniel, and I bought a house back in 2016 with Sergio Haros and Synergy One. Was lucky enough to do a refinance in 2018, where he lowered my rate for me and my family, and we've been holding tight, waiting on whatever the next adventure brings. Well, luckily for me, that was, something that we had. As far as building a friendship, but professionally, I don't. What sets him apart really is well, one is knowledge, right? He's been through the markets. He's been in the industry long enough to see the ups and the downs. But ultimately, it's the honesty that always drew me to Sergio. He was willing to tell you when to do something or when not to do something, right? A lot of times we would go in with maybe a mindset of. I think a couple times he backed me down from pulling cash out of the house. I'm thinking, I'm going to pull this, and maybe coached me on some alternate ways to obtain the need that I had, but ultimately protected me and my family with our mortgage, right? Because of the rate that we had. So that was always, obviously I knew I was getting from him was honesty. And then I felt like from there, just again, his subject matter, knowledge of industries, where we were going, where we've been, just kind of everything that came with that, I think. So for me, that was good. It's kind of like the cart before the horse. We all get excited about a home only to go out to know that we maybe could have qualified for more, right? Yeah. Or maybe it was way out of my league and I should be a little more realistic with my profile. Right. So that was something that Sergio also coached me very early was, you kind of do your research and you think how much money, what is it going to cost? How am I ever going to save? And there's so many variables that can go into that talking to a lender like Sergio is really going to fine tune your ability to meet that criteria, to save. A lot of people, coming from my age, always thought about, we need 20% down. We need 20% down, right? That's a lot of money, when you think about the salary that, most people have and that I had. And he was very quick to advise me that it's not 1970 anymore when a lot of these things were commonplace. There's more programs available. There's less down payments available. So many more outlets, I think, that I became aware of and speaking that I was unfamiliar with just by talking with Sergio and him, organically asking a few questions. And then all of a sudden we have, a roadmap for our, at that time, for my family to own, or for me to own a home. I think the first thing I would tell them is kind of what we spoke to earlier, is educate yourself, because the longer you wait for this proverbial rate drop or values are increasing, sometimes, let's say the amount of homes that are available to you change. So my thing is, and I learned very early through Sergio, was get in now, because the more you wait, the either the further away from attaining what you could have had, one will happen, or your payments can go up, your down payments can go up. Because in our area and in a lot of areas, things aren't going down, right? We're only getting stronger. So for me, going through someone like Sergio, where he tells you what you can afford, it's a math. We look at our debt, yep. We look at our income, and it determines on what home payment that we can afford. And then we drive that with a realtor to go ahead and put it out to the floor, or to the field rather. But ultimately, waiting for me, it's probably not the best advice. I wouldn't give it to my kids right now. Once they have the ability to go out and buy something, I would absolutely recommend them to jump into real estate, because you know what you're going to get, what the risks are involved, and at the end of the day, you're building yourself that home, for one, for your family. But secondly, you're also now you've got your equity that's going up. You're building your financial. The groundwork. It's a little bit different than playing the stock market. Yes. So that's why I would recommend someone to get out and buy a home for sure. No, Sergio quite well. Yeah. Just not only was he, like I said, were we in business, or in business, I say, have we done business together? We obviously had like professions, and our sons played baseball together. From 8 or 9 years old, the kids travel baseball, and waking up Saturdays and Sundays in Arizona at local camps and tournaments and everything. We became pretty close. He's a fantastic father. I will say that on top of professional. We met through our kids playing ball, and then again, I think Sergio's always pitching, real estate and home loans, and hey, looking for business, and so it was I kind of hung back, but it was a natural conversation that we were having, that we ultimately, okay, you do this, you do that, and next thing you know, you're sitting at his desk signing some loan papers because he's got it was time for me to buy.
Right.
And like I said, even coming from the business, I had access to plenty of loan officers that are out there, my own included.
Right.
I chose to kind of stay away from the company I worked for at the time, ultimately because of the conversations that I was having with Sergio, right? And it was very casual at first, and then that turned into hey, let me know what I can do for you, which turned into, hey, can you show me some rates, introduce me to a realtor, and there you go. You got your first townhouse. Sergio, for me, was always one of the more confident people. When I'm, if we were in a group of people, Sergio always stood out, right? He was always a leader. I also was, my kid would be coached by him and so forth. So, when you see someone out there, one, he's, taking care of a bunch, I don't call them kids, but they're a bunch of kids, right? Yeah. Growing and making sure that these kids are doing it the right way when it came to sports. But ultimately that same kind of support transferred right into some adult conversation that we had in regards to some finances. And, like I said, it was a very organic situation that turned into, I'm going to use this guy for my lending because I trust him, right? And I know that he would have my best interest no matter what we did. Again, stopping me or educating me on what was the best, the best way, or the way he would do it. And I think that's kind of another thing I liked about Sergio is I really felt like he treated me like family. Like, this is how I would do it if you were my brother. This is how I'd be guiding you, as if you were family. It wasn't. It was never a money grab. I never felt like I was a loan number. I was always a client. For sure. He's going to be a representative of Synergy One, at all times, right? He's branded on his clothes. He comes in every day. He's pitching the company when he's out and about. And, truly, if Sergio is one to believe in Synergy One, I think it's going to allow every client to also believe in Synergy One when it comes to doing their loans.